Our brains automatically connect the people, places, and things around us with the pleasure of the high. These become our triggers. Triggers generally fall into two categories: external and internal. External triggers are the people, places, and things that we associate with our use. Internal triggers are intense emotions such as anger, hurt, desire, or fear that cause us to want to use. When we think about or come into contact with these triggers, our brains release dopamine, causing us to crave.
The music, places.
Dollar bills, CD cases, because I used to use CD cases to crush up my drugs on.
Be driving through neighborhoods where I scored drugs.
Well, for me, it's the street. I have grown so accustomed to the streets and the lifestyle on the streets since a younger age, and I always thinking that I'm missing out something when I'm not out there.
We know that a very potent external trigger is a certain freeway exit, a certain part of town, because you went there so many times to get the drug and use the drug. And now in recovery, sometimes you drive by and it feels like the car wants to drive off by itself, or you want to get off at that bus stop. You may not even have a reason to be there, but it's the lower brain, once again, that's trying to take you back to the circumstances where you're likely to relapse and fall, because the lower brain likes being in the driver's seat.
I'm having a lot of problems with either my significant other or my parents. Relationships in general are very hard.
You try to recognize the emotion and then do something else. Why give your lower brain an excuse to kind of take you back to using? Why put yourself in that situation where you might even be triggered, period?
In recovery, you got to know what your trigger traps are and what you're weak for. I know what I'm weak for.
Identifying what your triggers are and then having a plan for avoiding the external triggers to the best of your ability, and with the emotional triggers to recognize the internal triggers so that we can take a different kind of action other than to use drugs.
It works like this. First, we get triggered, which leads to a thought about using, which can turn into craving and drive us to use. We have to stop this trigger, thought, craving process right after the thought, before it becomes a craving and gets out of control. In treatment, we learn tools to accomplish this.